a dam holding enough water to measurably slow the Earth's rotation. A bridge less than a meter wide, strung across a gap half a kilometer deep. A glass room bolted to a cliff face, 4,000 meters above sea level. "14 structures built at the edge of what engineering is supposed to be able to do. It starts on the Yangtze River. The Three Gorges Dam stretches across the Yangtze River for more than 2.3 kilometers, standing 185 meters tall. Behind it, a reservoir holds tens of billions of cubic meters of water, pressing against the structure every single day. NASA has confirmed the mass of that water is enough to slow the Earth's rotation by about 0.06 microseconds a day and shift the planet's rotational axis by roughly 2 centimeters. It also houses the largest hydroelectric power station on Earth by installed capacity. More than 30 million people live in the flood-prone region downstream, all of them now dependent on a single structure to hold that water back. One structure, built to control a river, ended up leaving a measurable mark on the planet itself. Construction took nearly 2 decades and required relocating more than 1 million people from the valley before the reservoir was allowed to fill. The Millau Viaduct crosses the Tarn River Valley in southern France on 7 massive concrete piers. The tallest pier rises 343 meters, taller than the Eiffel Tower. Fog collects in the valley below almost daily. On those mornings, the piers disappear completely, and the roadway seems to float on a sea of white cloud with nothing visible holding it up. A cable-stayed system keeps the deck stable in the strong winds that sweep through the valley at this height. The bridge was completed in 2004, built in a single continuous span rather than pier by pier to keep the structure as light and precise as possible. Drivers crossing on those foggy mornings see nothing below them but sky. At the time of its completion, it was the tallest bridge structure in the world, a record it held for years after opening. At the summit of France's Aiguille du Midi, a glass room extends beyond the edge of the platform, 3,842 meters above sea level. The floor, ceiling, and 3 walls are entirely glass, each panel built from 3 layers, about 12 millimeters thick each. Below it, the glaciers of the Mont Blanc Massif drop away for more than 1,000 meters. The structure is engineered to withstand winds up to 220 kilometers an hour and temperature swings of around 60 degrees Celsius between seasons. It took 3 years to build. Standing inside it, there is glass beneath your feet, glass above your head, and 1,000 meters of open air on every side. Every panel was carried up by cable car in sections, then assembled on site at an altitude where the air itself holds noticeably less oxygen. Some visitors report genuine altitude symptoms, simply standing still inside the glass room, the elevation alone enough to affect balance and breathing. In Hubei province, the valley beneath the Sidu River was too steep and too remote for cranes or conventional construction. Engineers solved it by firing a rocket across the gap, carrying the first guide cable from one side to the other. Larger bundles of cable were pulled across afterward, one at a time, until the towers and the main cable system took shape. Workers assembled each section of the deck while suspended above the gorge, with no scaffolding rising from below to support them. The finished roadway stands nearly 500 meters above the river, with no support pier rising from the valley floor at all. It opened in 2009. The bridge that started with a rocket shot remains one of the highest suspension bridges on Earth. The crossing that once took hours down one side of the valley and back up the other now takes under 2 minutes. At Glacier 3000 in Switzerland, 2 rocky peaks are connected by a suspension bridge just 107 meters long. The walkway is only 80 centimeters wide between the railings, narrow enough that people have to cross almost single file. The deck is made of steel grating. Looking down, the mountainside below is visible straight through the gaps underfoot. Before it opened in 2014, the only way across the gap between the 2 peaks was by cable car. Wind speeds at this altitude regularly exceed what most bridges are designed to tolerate, so the crossing closes automatically whenever conditions turn unsafe. It remains the only suspension bridge in the world that connects 2 mountain summits directly. On a clear day, the walkway offers views of 4 countries at once, visible from a structure barely wider than a hallway. In central Greece, the Meteora monastery complex is spread across towering sandstone pillars, some rising more than 300 meters above the valley floor. Space on top is extremely limited, so terraces, balconies, and walkways were built directly along the cliff edges. Reaching them means climbing stairways carved straight into the rock, and in some cases crossing small bridges that connect the cliff face to the monastery gates. Until the 20th century, the only way up for monks and supplies alike was a rope net, hauled by hand from the top. Even today, some monasteries still use cable hoists to bring up food and daily supplies, in a place vehicles have never been able to reach. More than 6 centuries later, these monasteries still cling to rock summits almost completely separated from the ground below. At their peak, 24 monasteries stood on these pillars. Only 6 remain active today, maintained by a handful of monks and nuns. The Yellow River carries more sediment than almost any river on Earth, and Xiaolangdi Dam was built to manage it. Silt constantly builds up at the bottom of the reservoir. Left alone, it would slowly destroy the dam's ability to control flooding. Engineers designed the outlet system specifically for this task, positioning the gates deep below the waterline to catch sediment before it can settle permanently. So the dam does something few others do on purpose. It floods itself. Bottom outlet gates open at once, releasing water at a flow rate of thousands of cubic meters per second. The surge carries tens to hundreds of millions of tons of sediment back into the river in a single operation. Since 2002, these artificial floods have become routine. A dam that stores water and deliberately unleashes it just to keep the river it controls alive. Downstream residents have learned to expect the muddy surge on a rough annual schedule, timed to protect farmland rather than damage it. El Camino del Rey wasn't built for tourists. It was constructed in the early 20th century, so workers could move between two hydroelectric plants on opposite ends of a gorge in southern Spain. Its most famous section runs along the cliff face about 100 meters above the Guadalhorce River. Some parts are barely a meter wide, sheer rock on one side, open canyon on the other. For years before its closure, the path had no railing left at all along entire stretches, only bare concrete narrowing toward the drop. After decades of use, the original walkway fell into serious disrepair. Sections of concrete cracked and collapsed, and the path was eventually closed. A new walkway has since been built directly above the old one. The remnants of the original path still cling to the cliff below it, proof of exactly how dangerous the crossing once was. Before the renovation, the path had earned a nickname among climbers that roughly translates to the most dangerous trail in the world, a label the new version was specifically designed to retire. In Austria's Dachstein Mountains, a stairway doesn't lead up to a viewpoint. It leads down, past the edge of the cliff. 14 steel steps descend to a small glass platform, extending completely out from the mountainside at an elevation of about 2,700 meters. Beneath it, a drop of nearly 400 meters, visible straight through the glass underfoot. Engineers rated the platform to hold significantly more weight than it would ever need to carry, a standard precaution that does little to calm most people's nerves once they're standing on it. The platform is fully exposed to the weather. Snow and ice regularly cover the steel steps, and there are no columns rising from the valley. Every bit of load is carried back into the cliff through steel anchors. Hundreds of thousands of people climb down those 14 steps every year, just to stand at one of the most exposed viewpoints in the Alps. The platform was named for the sensation visitors describe at the final step, the moment solid stone gives way entirely to glass and open air. In Sri Lanka, a single massive rock rises almost completely apart from the surrounding plains. In the 5th century, its summit became the site of a royal palace, fortress walls, water gardens, and living quarters, built where nearly every side ends in a sheer cliff. Every brick, every block of stone, Every drop of water needed to sustain that life on top had to be carried nearly 180 meters up by hand. Frescoes painted directly onto the rock face have survived exposed to weather for over 15 centuries, protected mainly by an overhang in the cliff itself. The only way up passes between massive boulders and along steel stairways bolted directly to the rock face, some sections suspended entirely against the cliff. The palace foundations and the ancient reservoir system are still visible at the summit today, proof that people once lived permanently at the top of a rock most would call unclimbable. The reservoir system channeled water using gravity alone, engineered with enough precision that portions of it still function during heavy rain today. In Switzerland's Alpstein Mountains, a small inn sits on a narrow ledge with almost nothing beneath it. A sheer rock wall rises directly behind the building, while the land drops into the valley out front. Part of the structure is supported directly by the rock itself, its roof fitted beneath an overhanging section of the mountain. There is no road. The shortest route starts with a cable car, continues on foot through the wild Kirchley caves, and finishes with a mountainside trail of 15 to 20 minutes. Everything the inn needs, food, fuel, bedding, makes that same walk on someone's back, since no vehicle has ever been able to reach the building. Even surrounded by that terrain, the inn welcomes guests for several months every year. A building in a place most people would expect to find nothing but bare cliff. The inn has operated at this same site for more than a century and a half, rebuilt and expanded several times, but never relocated. Cabane de Berthol sits on a rocky peak in the Alps, on ground too narrow to build outward on. So the structure was built upward instead, 4 levels stacked on top of each other, almost every side opening straight into empty space. The only way inside is a series of steel ladders anchored directly to the rock. One ladder leads to the next, with no wide platforms in between, just the cliff face and open air. Step through the main entrance, and you'll find a shelter that holds around 80 people at an elevation of more than 3,300 meters. Climbers use it as a staging point before dawn departures, sleeping a few hours in a space with no room to spare before continuing up toward the summit. It still serves as a refuge for mountain climbers in a place where the weather, the altitude, and the terrain all work against any ordinary structure. Supplies are flown in by helicopter during short weather windows each season, since no ladder system could ever carry enough for the hut to operate any other way. In the middle of the Aegean Sea stands a lighthouse with no beach, no dock, and no land connecting it to anywhere. Tourlitis Lighthouse sits on a rock pillar completely separated from the mainland, waves hitting it from every direction, year-round. The first lighthouse here was built in the late 19th century. It was destroyed during the Second World War, then rebuilt in 1994 on the exact same rock. There is no road leading to it, the way there is for most lighthouses. Even routine maintenance depends entirely on the sea being calm enough to allow it. The keeper who maintains it today has described weeks at a time when the sea simply refuses to allow a boat anywhere near the rock. More than 100 years after the first structure went up, a lighthouse still stands on a single rock pillar with nothing around it but open water. Its light is now fully automated, requiring only occasional visits rather than a permanent keeper living on the rock itself. In Austria's Carinthia region, a fortress stands on a limestone rock about 160 meters high, and the road leading up to it was built to be part of the defense. To reach the top, you have to pass through 14 separate gates, each one positioned at a different point along the only route up the rock. Stone walls, tight bends, and a constant uphill climb slow down anyone trying to force their way through. Passing one gate only reveals another layer of defense still ahead. The fortress has been continuously owned by the same family for over 800 years, one of the longest unbroken ownerships of any castle in Europe. Thanks to that design, Burg Hochosterwitz has never been captured by a direct assault. A fortress where the hardest part was never the walls, it was the road. Archers stationed along the route could target attackers from multiple angles at once, turning the climb itself into the castle's main weapon. A dam that shifted the Earth's axis by 2 centimeters, a bridge strung across a gorge by a cable fired from a rocket, a staircase that ends in glass, 400 meters above nothing. None of these were built because the location made it easy. Every one of them was built because the location made it necessary. Somewhere between reckless and brilliant is where most of these structures actually stand. If you'd like to keep finding the places engineering wasn't supposed to reach, subscribe and join us on the next journey.